Welcome to the, let's see, today's February 4th, the Tucson 5026 Spook Series for Wednesday, February 4th. Glad that you can all be with us here. This afternoon, we've got Aaron Celestian up to give this is going to be a fascinating presentation. It goes beyond just mineral collecting, it's mineralogy and how it is fighting disease and the incredible work that he's doing over there at the Natural History Museum, Los Angeles. So Aaron is in the room right now. He's getting his presentation set up. I'm going to run in, give him a little bit of helping hand if he needs it. And we're going to be right back with you. We are scheduled to go live with Aaron in just a little under 10 minutes right now. So sit tight, enjoy the music. We'll see you in a few minutes. Take care.
Over me, I'ma be down on my knees. You know I'm ready for this. You keep me begging for this. I'm chasing the feeling, I know it too well, and I just can't resist. Yeah, I just can't resist. Do what I do, I ain't got nothing to prove. So baby, roll with this. Yeah, baby, roll with this. I can do this all day. I can do this all day. Back up, I'ma run this town. I'm headed for the top, and you know it's going down. I can do this all day. Show me what you got, no you can't resist. You know I'm ready for this, I just do what I do. I ain't got nothing to prove, so just roll with this. Yeah baby, roll with this. I can do this all day. I can do this all day. Back up, I'ma run this town. I'm headed for the top and you know it's going down. I can do this all day. I can do this all day. Taking over. Ain't nothing gonna stop me. I'm taking over. Ain't nothing gonna stop me. I'm taking over. Ain't nothing gonna stop me.
Hey, so we are live. Hey, we've got Dr. Peter McGaw right here in the house. We're about to sit down and do some grinds while Aaron Celestian is in the conference room checking out, making sure everything is working perfectly for him. And this is, again, going to be a fascinating presentation on mineralogy and modern mineralogy and how it's saving lives. Doesn't this sound cool, Peter?
It does.
It does. So Peter's going to sit here, hang out with me. We're going to watch, we're going to stuff our faces, and we're going to cheer Aaron on.
And get our lives saved.
And get our lives saved. Yes, indeed. So beyond the display case, that's Aaron Celestian coming in just a few minutes. We may be a couple minutes late in going live with the presentation, but actually maybe not, because look at Aaron. He looks pretty darn relaxed there. So I'm guessing he's ready to go. I'm going to run in there, double check, make sure everything's cool, and then we're going to start with the presentation. So hang out. We're just a couple minutes away.
Might be that my mind can't find a better way when I get so hard to love, and I get so restless in my modern ways. That's why I'm so hard to love. I just seem to bring it down, baby. I just seem to bring you down so low.
All right, so my assumption was correct. Aaron is ready to go. So let's just adjust the camera a little bit here, get a little tighter shot. We got Stuart Niebert, the gallery manager, all cued, ready to go, looking sharp, looking good. We're gonna kill the music. I'm gonna turn on their speaker and I'm gonna say, Stu, we are good to go, buddy.
Perfect. All right, well, welcome everyone to the Tucson Fine Mineral Gallery on this beautiful Wednesday afternoon. My name is Stu Niebert, and I am the gallery director here throughout the year. And I would love to introduce to you Dr. Aaron Celestian and his talk on Beyond the Display Case. So without any further ado, Aaron, take it over.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Do I need a microphone or is this?
Nope, he's got you right here.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Can you guys hear me in the back?
Yes.
All right, cool. So I'm the curator. My name is Aaron Celestian. I'm the curator of the Natural History Museum of Los Angeles County, curator of gems and minerals there. And a lot of research. We do a lot of collecting. What we're doing here in Tucson, like everybody else, is just collect, right? Get as much as you can. But I wanted to talk about more about like what we can do with these minerals. They are beautiful specimens. They're lovely to look at, but there's something deeper to them. And so that's what I'm really going to be focusing on today. But first, we have a new exhibit at the Natural History Museum in LA. It's called Unearthed. And these are some of the objects that we have in the exhibit. So these are really, really quite spectacular. Here is what we call the lightsaber. It's just this giant calcite crystal. This is our specimen that was recently donated to us. This is a huge stibnite cluster from China. And an aquamarine pocket. So this is when you first walk into the exhibit, you see this huge aquamarine pocket that was carved out of the mountainside from Pakistan. And it's sort of emblematic of what Unearthed actually is. And so there's a lot of like kind of displays where it's a mineral display, but there's also something else associated. And a Namibian amethyst. And we brought a bunch of blue cap tourmalines because we are Southern California. We got to bring back a bunch of blue cap tourmalines to the exhibit. And so this will for over a year. It'll be open until mid-April 2027. So you have plenty of time to go there. But don't dally. April 27 will be coming up pretty quick. All right. So the power of collections. This is why we collect at the museum. Here's a great example of how specimens were just artistic expressions of Earth's beauty, but it's finding other things. So here's a classic, or not a classic example, a new example. There's a stibnite, and for antiquity, it would be used as cosmetics for for all kinds of ceremonial applications. And then it sort of fell out because antimony is not all that great for you. And so you shouldn't be painting yourself with stibnite. You should be collecting it. But recently, I've been getting calls from physicists from Caltech, UCLA, wanting these specimens because this turns out it's a great photovoltaic. So when they make these into thin films, kind of like graphite thin film is graphene, it's just an unbelievable material. When you make stibnite into a thin film material, it turns into a room temperature photovoltaic that might be better than silicone someday. And very easy to synthesize. It's not the extremely toxic silicones that we have today. And so this is just an example. I had no idea that this was going to happen. I had no idea that this material in particular would turn into a next generation technology. But we never know that. We have to keep collecting in order to preserve the materials for future applications. And so I'm going to step you through this process. So one of the things that we have to do in order to get to that next level of science with minerals is to have advanced technology. We have to have new technology to answer new questions. Otherwise, we'd be looking at this cabinet from the 1400s. This is on display at the Getty Museum in Los Angeles. And it's extremely ornately decorated for Pope Paul V in 1490 something. And it's covered with lapis lazuli, it's covered with agates, it's covered with gems. There's like 97 drawers in this cabinet where you would stash papal documents and whatnot. But the curators, or the conservators there, Aaron, where did these agates come from? I was like, I have no idea. If you try to do provenance on agates, it's extraordinarily challenging because even one site will have completely different colors of agates. So, and I knew that going in. So we first did some imaging, just looking at books, seeing where different colored agates come from, to see if we can any matches. We have a couple hints. We know that this is the 1400s. Primary source of agate in the 1400s is Idar Oberstein in Germany. That's where the finest agate was coming from during that time. This is a chest made for the Pope. So most likely they would get and source the finest agate that they could. So we started looking on Idar. And still it was quite complex. So we decided, like, let's use a little bit of modern science and see what we can do. So agate is actually composed of two minerals. One of them is quartz, that we all know, and there's another one called moganite, which is quartz, but it's like alternating crystal structure. It's left-handed quartz, right-handed quartz, left-handed quartz, right-handed quartz, and it's stacked on top of each other like that to make moganite. And in between the stacks, there are some hydrogens. Moganite is not stable. In fact, there's no known moganite that's over 400 million years old, 300 million years old, because it transforms to quartz over time. But that's a clock. So if you start off with a rock that has lots of moganite in it, and you let it sit there for 400 million years, it's constantly decaying down to quartz. And so we can get a ratio of how much moganite to quartz is and get a sense of like how old the deposit is. So that's what this is. So when we took a infrared, visible light infrared camera, basically this huge camera, it's from Caltech, and you just scan the entire room. They built it to scan outcrops of geological settings to look at minerals, and it was going to go on the Mars rover. So we took that, and we took it to the Getty, and we imaged it. And what you see here is bright colors and dark colors. The bright colors are where there's a lot of moganite. Moganite is hydrogen, it's very infrared sensitive. We can detect that. Quartz all by itself is not infrared active under this camera, and so it disappears dark. So you can see there's some dark areas here, like the centerpiece right there is dark, that's dark. So what does that mean? It means we have a couple different populations. We have these bright ones up here, we have some bright ones down there, and some dark areas. Now let's take a look at the geology. Idar Oberstein, the deposit, is around 250 million years old. That's old. That means it should have very little moganite. That matches with these dark areas. But the bright areas have lots of moganite in them. Did not come from Idar. It came from someplace else. And so when we were looking, it's like, where could German cutters get agate during this time period? I found out, I got some ship logs from the early 1400s, late 1300s, that say that they were bringing materials over from Germany, bringing food and supplies into a colony in Brazil. And when they were going back, the ship was empty and they had to fill it back up again. And so they were probably filling up with ballast This is Rio Grande do Sul. This is a 70 million year old deposit, 80 million year old deposit, much younger. And so we think that they were loading up the ship with this ballast of agate, and it gets to Germany. Now it's being cut by German carvers. The earliest trade route recorded from Brazil to Germany is in the 1500s. So this might be an example of one of the earliest forensic analysis of this chest that indicates that there was trade happening long before the history books had recorded it. So we can only get to this sort of fantastic conclusion. I need a lot more I need a lot more agate. So if you guys have agate collections, let me know. I'm happy to take donations. We have a limited supply of agate at the museum, but I go to other museums to get this data. All right. Another thing that we're looking at in Southern California, so the Southern California chest, is lithium. Lithium is next generation technology. Everybody wants it. The demand for lithium is outpacing the mining industry, and so they have to extract out as much lithium out of the ground as possible by any means necessary. That means taking kunzite, these beautiful kunzites that are chock full of lithium, and dissolving it, right? These were rescued. They're not going to be dissolved into a lithium carbonate. But in Southern California, we have these massive salt deposits. These salt deposits are chock full of lithium, but extracting them is quite challenging. And so how can we as a museum kind of help tackle this problem? Well, what is the problem? The problem is we have current technologies like lithium. The largest lithium mines in the world are in Australia at the moment. They're mining pegmatite, kunzite. And then we have these in the Atacama Desert. Look at all that water, chock full of lithium. This is the driest place on the planet, yet there's a lot of water there. Where are they getting that water from? From the communities down. They're taking the water that's feeding the population below, bringing it up to the mountains, injecting that water into a salt deposit, dissolving the salt below, and then bringing it back up and evaporating it to extract out the lithium. It's a very common method. It's efficient. It takes a lot of energy to then separate the lithium out from the salt deposits, but this is the technology that already exists. This is what we can do. So to move on to the next step, like how can we be better at removing lithium or separating lithium out, we have to have new technology and new infrastructure. That's not going to be easy, but we have to lay down the foundation first. And so I'm drawing inspiration from our mineral collection. Here is a black spinel from our collection. And spinel on the atomic level has little tiny pore spaces connecting all the little tiny conduits. Only a few atoms can fit in those pore spaces. Hydrogen is one, and lithium is the other. All other atoms are too large to fit in the pore spaces. So I was like, all right, this sounds great. This sounds like a little sieve, like on an atomic level. I can sieve out lithium from everything else. So we went to the lab. We learned how to synthesize spinel. Got it. We can synthesize this material in the lab. Now, this is the synthesized material. It's not a big crystal. Now let's test it. And can it absorb lithium out of the ground? And in fact, it can. We just got a patent for this process. And it's so good at selectively absorbing lithium. It's a spontaneous process. All you have to do is have this can of this black powder, put it in the ocean, wait a couple days, pull it out, and you have lithium. And then we take CO2 from the atmosphere and make carbonic acid and then wash the lithium out, and we get battery-grade lithium on the other side. Almost no energy involved and zero CO2 emissions. But to scale that up, it's going to take decades because we have to build infrastructure in order to do that. But at the museum, we can at least prove that it works. All right. So now we go to Mars. We have all these salt deposits with lots of lithium. Where else in the universe do we have lithium? Well, we have it on Mars. And it turns out that this is kind of an important material. Oh, I've got music. All right. I will narrate through this. So I had an artist work with me, an animator, and try to show what does this look like on the Mars planet surface. So Mars had a lot of oceans at one point in time, maybe large lakes, and the waters evaporate just like on Earth, and you get these salt deposits that are left behind. So you get these salt crystals, just like Trona in the Salton Sea. But as the crystal grows, you get these skeletal crystal growths. So these are the Hopper halite crystals that you see. But as they grow, the little menisces right here kind of get trapped in the crystal as it's growing upwards. That's just a tiny, tiny little trace environment from where the lake was there. But when we take a closer look into it, when we dive deep into the crystal, we can see those fluid inclusions. And we can see there's still living bacteria in them. This water is lithium rich, so even if it gets super, super cold at night, it doesn't freeze. The water doesn't freeze because the lithium really depresses the freezing temperature of the water. And that keeps these bacteria alive for eons. Like, I just wrote a blog post of my trip to, my Pocket Full of Crystals blog page, about a trip to Balby Mine, world's deepest salt mine. We're finding bacteria a mile below the surface of the earth, far removed from the sun. So at the museum, we take these salt crystals. I work with astrobiologists. We figure out how can we look for life in the crystal without ever having to open it up, and spectroscopy techniques are a way to do that. Why we want to do that is because if we go to Mars, bring back salt crystals, we don't want to be opening them up on the planet's surface. What if scenarios might occur? You have these bacteria that take over the planet and kill everybody. That's not going to happen, I promise you. These things are incredibly hard to keep alive. I kill them all the time. I open up the crystals and just water from the atmosphere dilutes the water enough that the cells lyse. They just explode right in front of life, so I'm not worried about it. But here's what they look like in real life. This is a fluid inclusion, and you can see the little bugs floating around inside of there. These things are still alive. This crystal has been in our color 100 years. About 100, a little bit over 100 years. They're still quite viable. And we're trying to understand, like, what do they use for energy? How long can they live? What is the relationship between the bacteria and the salt crystals? Because they've clearly evolved a path to be able to do that. So what are all these questions? We don't know. We don't know. But we're trying to find out. So this is us. We found a lake deposit, and this is what we call a lake underground. If it's any bigger than this, it gets really precarious because you're a mile below the surface of the earth. There's water and salt. The water will dissolve the salt crystals right away, and you might have a mine shaft that could just collapse on you. But it's a little pocket of water that the miners discovered as they were cutting through the wall, and they gave us a call, and we went out there and we started to collect these things up. Now, this is a 250 million year old salt deposit. It's very tectonically stable for the last 250 million years. And yet, when we look at this, when we took this bottle out and brought it back to the lab, it was clear, and 10 minutes later it turned pink. It turned into this pink color that we find at Salton Sea in Trona in Southern California. That pink color comes from bacteria producing a carotenoid. The carotenoid is used to protect themselves from ultraviolet radiation. So why does a bacteria a mile below the surface of the earth have the ability to produce beta carotene? We think that it was at the surface of the earth 150 million years ago. It had that to be able to express out beta carotene, but it just got buried and buried and buried. And it's just waiting for the time to be unearthed and bring back to life like this. These things are still viable. 250 years, that's insane. So for life on another planet or moon in our solar system, it's not going to be a horse or a dinosaur running around the surface of the earth or of the moon or planet. It's going to be bacteria deep in the earth. So no wonder we haven't found life on Mars yet, because it's probably under the surface somewhere, and we haven't looked there yet. So I'm working with a team from NASA and also Honeybee Electronics, which is part of Blue Marble, and we're developing a drill to go to Mars to drill. We want to get in the subsurface. We want to see what's going on underneath it. And this is the team that were there. This is some shots from the mine. It's very dark down there. It is extremely hot. We were dying. We spent a week there. This is us in the dark matter laboratory. This is the lab that we were based out of. That's all of us around there. So there's bathrooms down there. It was kind of nice. It was very posh. And a coffee maker, which is critical. And there was Volkovskite. So the Volkovskite is kind of rare. It's only known, I think, from 2 or 3 places on the planet, and one of them is the Balby mine, and that's this crystal right here. And some of the older miners took us to places that had been closed off, and we were able to collect some of this Volkovskite to bring back to the lab. All right, so now from Mars, let's go to medicine. Raleiite is a new mineral that came out of the Raleigh mine in Arizona. We described this mineral 2016, and it turns out it's the most porous mineral on the planet. It is mostly empty space with some atoms holding everything together. And it's the black crystals that you see here. This is montranite, and the black crystals are the Raleiite. This is essentially the world's supply of Raleiite. It is not much at all, right? So why am I even thinking about using pharmaceutical? Well, all pharmaceuticals are synthesized anyway. So if I can figure out how to synthesize Raleiite, then I have the mechanisms, like go to pharmaceutical companies and say, hey, I can synthesize this stuff. It's the most porous mineral. They're going to say, hey, Aaron, what good is it? Why even bother? Well, it's because of its crystal structure. That's this right here. A lot of empty space, a lot of big pores. You can stuff drugs in there. You can stuff anti-cancer vaccines in there. You can do all kinds of stuff. And this right here is a map of all the pore space. This is every cage here would be represent as a pocket of empty space in the crystal structure. This is super interesting. When I saw this, I had goosebumps going up my back. I know that's kind of weird, but you can stick anti-cancer drugs in there. But the openings are kind of small. Like they're not, you have this big basketball-sized pore space, but then you have the small opening. That's actually advantageous because that opening is quite flexible. It can open and close. And cancer in your body is a very unique chemical environment. So your pH of your blood is like 7.3, 7.4. It doesn't vary hardly at all. If it did, you'd be dead. Cancer has a pH of like 5.5, really acidic environment. So we've designed this mineral. You just wash it with vinegar, basically. Then the hydrogen, the acids attached itself to the pore space right here, puts these little feelers out. And then when it gets to the cancer site, it opens up and delivers the drug directly to the cancer site. So the problem with cancer therapeutics, with chemotherapy, is that when you take it, it attacks everything. It is non-discriminatory. It attacks your whole entire body. You lose your hair. Side effects are quite dangerous. This is targeted to the specific chemical environment of a cancer. And I'm working with the Huntsman Cancer Institute in Utah this to fruition. I can't do tests on people. The museum frowns upon that. But that's so great about working with the Huntsman Cancer Institute. They're already set up to do that. They just need new technology to be able to test. And Raleiite might be that next great thing to be able to fix cancer. Well, I'm also working with a urologist at UCLA, the department head of urology at UCLA, Camorra, Scotland. And I don't know, how many people in kidney stones? How many total people are in here? We have 4, 10-ish, 14, and then maybe 14 on the side. We have 28 people. We'll say 28 people. And how many people have kidney stones? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What's the math? 1 in 6-ish? 1 in 6 people get a kidney stone. Globally, 1 in 8 people get a kidney stone. But in this room, 1 in 6 people get a kidney stone. That's a severely high percentage. So what even grows a kidney stone? Like, medicine doesn't know at the moment. Like, you think it's like concentration of all these salts in your kidney, and you get calcium oxalate, and you form these. There's a lot of different kind of kidney stones. Calcium oxalate is the main one, which is the mineral wawelite and wettolite. You think you have the ingredients, lots of oxalate, lots of calcium. They just come together, and you form a kidney stone. Well, no. Lots of people have high oxalate concentrations, yet they don't get kidney stones. So what we're able to, so this is a kidney stone right here. This is, a walnut-sized kidney stone. Nobody passed this one. That's why I'm working with a surgeon. She pulls these things out of people, brings them to the museum, and say, hey, Aaron, how did this grow? And so what we're figuring out is that they have a nucleus. They grow almost like stromatolites. When you zoom in on it, you'll see like a central core that is, can I blow this up? No, I can't. Okay. you'll see a central core of calcium oxide crystals, but then it's layer upon layer upon layer upon layer. It just grows out like this onion. Well, between each of the layers is bacteria. And stromatolites, some of the oldest living organisms, well, the oldest living organisms on the planet, they form the same way. There's a layer of bacteria, and they produce out calcium carbonate, and another layer, another layer, another layer. And we think that the kidney stones are doing the same thing. So there is a specific bacteria in your kidney that is forcing this process to happen. So this completely changes how you deal with treatment. Instead of, let's take as much oxalate out of the person as possible, that may work, but that's not the underlying mechanism. The underlying mechanism may be some sort of pharmaceutical that can kill off that particular one. And we're developing that at UCLA. So what happens is that you have these DNA strands that form this like goo in your kidneys. And that's where crystals can stick to it. And they grow again. And you have another layer of glue, and crystals stick to it. Another layer, another, and you end up getting a kidney stone from that. But if you can break apart that DNA glue selectively, the kidney stone would never develop in the first place. We just had this paper published in the Proceedings of National Academy of Sciences this week. And it got like over 2 million views on X. Thank you. So there's a lot of interest in that. And I'm also working with, so you notice the theme of bacteria, like mineral microbe interaction is really important in modern medicine and modern mineralogy. I'm working with AstraZeneca as well this was maybe a year ago or two, to use minerals. This is the first FDA drug approved that is mineral-based. And I had to give seminars to the FDA because they're all a bunch of organic chemists. They know nothing about mineral sciences. They know nothing about inorganic chemistry. And so what we did is build this mineral. It's actually a mineral very much related to George Chowite. I can't say what mineral it's exactly like because I'll probably be sued. But George Chowite is a sodium, potassium, zirconium silicate. This is a sodium zirconium silicate. It's cubic. You can see the cubic structure next to it. It's next to some amorphous silica. This is an image I took. They taught me how to synthesize it so I can make it myself. They're plentiful, so whatever you got, I can hook you up with this. I was just in the pharmacy last week, and I saw this on the shelf. That was a really proud moment. It's called Localma. Thank you. It's called Localma, and it's a rescue drug for people who have hyperkalemia. So hyperkalemia is too much potassium in your bloodstream, and potassium is needed for muscle function. And so if you have too much, you can stop losing control of your muscles, and your heart is a muscle. So people can die of this as a heart attack. And the side effects are just like hypertension, too much sodium in your bloodstream. And so you just drink this. If you're having a hyperkalemia attack, you drink it. Within minutes, it starts working. Within an hour, your potassium levels are back down to normal. And there's even a low-dose version of this where you can drink. Just mix it with a little bit of chocolate, and you drink it, and it's quite tasty. But the key part is, this was a mineral, George Chowite, another example of an ultra-rare mineral that I only know of that comes out of the Kola Peninsula in Russia. And there's not much of it. It's very small. But it has these amazing properties, and I had no idea that you'd be able to use this. So if I got rid of it, just got rid of it out of the collection, then I would not be able to do the work that I'm doing. So this is why we collect. And this is some of the field areas that I work. Just get minerals into the museum, but as a single individual, like I can't go everywhere and collect minerals, so I rely on the community to be able to go out and collect stuff or buy stuff for the museum. And it's to do these cutting-edge research projects. I mean, I have this library of almost 200,000 specimens at the museum that I can draw inspiration from. Very few other places have that opportunity. And so I'm trying to take advantage of that as much as possible. And it can be used for historical stuff, like the forensic study I started with. It could be used for understanding climate change. It can be used for understanding human migration routes. That's a project I'm working on with Arizona State University. And so through the growth of the collection, it's not just that we're growing it just to grow it, but we're growing it to protect what future science might need in the future. It's unpredictable. And so we're also doing things with the community. This is a lead remediation project that I was working on. This is another zeolite-based project where In LA, in Los Angeles, there's essentially a Superfund site where there was a lead acid battery recycling facility that was literally spewing lead in the surrounding community. The EPA limit for lead in residential soils is 80 parts per million. When I went there and tested this, I have lead testing abilities at the museum. When I went there and tested, some of these homes had 3,000 parts per million. Like off the charts, like toxic soils. In fact, the EPA would say that this is a toxic waste site. This is these people's homes. And so what we were able to do is take these zeolites, and there's a zeolite called clinoptilolite that just happens to have the right shape and the right size of pores and absorb lead. And it spontaneously does that. Out to these communities, and we put lead in a controlled way. Lead. Poured zeolite in a very controlled way, and we studied the 15 people with them for a year. And we wanted to see how much zeolite it took to bring down the toxic levels of lead to a normal sort of lead level. And some homes responded very quickly. Like within a month, went from, say, 1,000 ppm all the way down to 40 ppm. Like, great, that works. Other homes, it took almost the whole entire year to go from 1,000 ppm to 40 ppm. It's like different chemistries of soil, it's causing different reaction rates. And you have to have water, and this was during a drought, so people probably weren't watering their yards. And so that's really, that we couldn't enforce that. But it works. And the mining company that I was working with supplied all the zeolite to these communities. I used 2 tons of zeolite spread all over LA. And the mining company is so happy that now they want to work with us more to bring this to market, because they own the mine and they can make a difference. So this could work at Flint, Michigan, cleaning out the lead of the water. You could look at all different places. In fact, the lead that you find in cacao and chocolate coming out of some tree somewhere else, I forgot the name of it. But they called me up and said, hey, Aaron, can we use the zeolites to clean the lead in our soils so it doesn't get taken up into the plants, and so it reduces the amount of lead that gets into chocolate. So I thought, hell yeah, let's do it. I like chocolate. Sorry, Sarah. I thought this was a good picture. So we need all these advanced tools. And without the advanced tools, we're still stuck with not being able to move the collections forward. So advanced tools and advancing our collections is a critical goal. But we can use this for energy, and then take what we know of bacterial production for energy and take that into astrobiology. We can take knowledge from astrobiology and apply that to medicine. And we could take knowledge that we're gaining from medicine and really deliver it to the community. And so that's what the collections do. That's what we do at the museum. What makes our collections unique? Well, a few things. We probably have one of the largest holotype collections in the world, thanks to Tony Kampf, who is ultra productive in describing new mineral species. And so without that, we wouldn't have something like Jason Smithite right here, which is another one of these mega porous materials that might find application someday. We have the only green dinosaur in the world. This is made out of the mineral called selladinite. This is heulandite plus selladinite. It's kind of interesting. We have a collection of painite crystals, one of the rarest gems in the world. That's painite. We go into extremely dangerous places to look for life in otherworldly environments. This is one of the part of the closed off sections in the Balby mine. You can see these salt stalactites coming from the ceiling. It looks like something from Ghostbusters. This is me synthesizing localma, different chemicals in and watching the growing in real time, so I can better understand how the crystals grow in the industry. Because if something happens in pharmacy where there's just one thing that goes wrong with a batch, you have to throw out the entire batch. And that is a lot of wasted material. And if we don't have the tools that we need, we build them. So this is an ultrasonic levitator that we use to simulate zero gravity environments. This is me at one of the national labs. And it's a speaker array. It's like ultrasonic speakers, the same speakers on the back of a car that has your backup sensors. And we can hold liquid droplets just with sound waves interfering with each other. And you can suspend liquid in air and do reactions that way. It's quite nice. Collection of lead soils. So I'm also, with the LA fires, I'm also collecting a lot of ash samples, because urban wildfires are different mineralogy than like just a house burning down. The temperatures are much more extreme. The pyro reactions are off the charts. So you get different minerals. And then we have a collection of kidney stones. We're taking donations. So, don't flush it down the drain, send it to me, and I'm happy to take care of it.
Wash it first.
Yes, please. So this is one of the experiments that we did on the scanning electron microscope. And these are wavellite crystals, calcium oxalate monohydrate. Those are the pyramid-looking ones, and that's E. coli around it. And so you can see the E. coli is like really attaching itself to the crystals and starting to grow a kidney stone. And we have sapphires, thanks to Eldorado Bar. But I'm also running software. So I know people like to have their collections, and they want to do something with the collections in the end. I've written a software program called Specimen Pro, which you can download for free and start cataloging in your collection. Because what I've run into is that when people pass away and they have this massive collection, it's not well documented. And I can't go through the collection and document it for them. And so I'm trying to get them to use these easy iPhone applications that I write that they can easily include with their collection, so it's much more user-friendly for the museum that it gets donated to, whether if it's me or somebody else. So what kind of impact have we had in mineral sciences at the Natural History Museum? Well, we've studied 5 different worlds. We are doing experiments to simulate moons of Europa and Saturn. We're planning trips to Europa and Saturn. We've built a holographic microscope that's flight ready, that's ready for the next trip to one of the icy ocean worlds. Lots of water has been saved, and we've also, probably the one, is this translation of material science to real-world solutions. We have several patents and several other ones coming out, and we're making real progress, and that is working its way into the pharmaceutical stores. So some examples of people who supported, like how do people support the Natural History Museum? Well, historically there was Trelawney and Bandy and Hickson. That's where our major collections really come from just these 3 people. That's it. I mean, the other people have donated a bunch of their collections, which has been fantastic, but these are the 3 ones that really stand out. Robert Prokop sitting in the room, where is he? Sorry to call you out, Robert. But instrumental in major acquisitions and supporting research. And also our newly formed Gem and Mineral Council, which does major acquisitions, it supports our research, it supports field work, interns, community building, just a lot of different stuff. And all this support gives us a world-class collection that has been cared after from curator to curator to curator. I'm just the latest iteration of it at the Natural History Museum in LA. So there are other ways of support as well. You can just follow the research and just spread the word. That is also a lot of support. In fact, I would not have been hooked up with the Huntsman Cancer Institute in Utah if it just wasn't for knowing the right person who put me in contact with the director. And that was a critical partner-building relationship. And the only way that they knew about it was because they heard my podcast and they heard my blog post, and so they put me in contact. So this is a QR code to take to it. I've been active on it lately, but I think that's it. Yeah. So happy to take any questions that you have. Thank you. Yes.
So do you still actively need support in the form of donations, contributions to the Natural History Museum? How can people in this room support you?
We definitely need donations of species. So not only do we use them for our own research, but we support researchers all over the world. And so researchers from Korea, China, Canada, Brazil, they send me emails or call me up and say, hey, Aaron, do you have this mineral specimen? Most of the time I do. But that depletes the collection, right? So we're constantly giving stuff away. I give them away for free. I don't charge anybody. And I pay for all the shipping, of course. So that enables research in countries that normally can't afford it. So yeah, we need donations all the time. Yeah, it'd be great. Yeah, Esther.
Have you studied gallstone as opposed to kidney stone?
It's actually the next project, yeah. We're working our way through the different parts of the body. I just got a horse pearl donated to us, and a horse pearl forms in the colon of a horse. It's this massive softball-sized stone. It's gorgeous. But yeah, so we're working our way through different, like, the body's really good at making crystals. Like, it's so good at making minerals. And maybe it's similar to the bacteria. If it is, that'd be great. Then we have a leg up on the research. Yeah, but not yet. Yes?
Tell people where Raleigh forms.
Oh, yeah.
It's a good story.
So Raleighite forms in the Raleigh mine, but it forms on the mine wall where there's bats defecating. And so that's where a lot of the oxalate, it's where the oxalate is coming from. And it's dissolved, you form this oxalic acid, and it dissolves the vanadium out of the vanadinite that's on the wall. And as it evaporates, that's a different environment, right? It's not the same environment that vanadinite formed at. So as it evaporates, it forms new kinds of crystals. In this case, the right ingredients forms Raleighite. And so it wouldn't have happened. This may be new to planet Earth. It wouldn't have happened if we didn't mine a hole in the ground. And it wouldn't have happened if bats didn't fly into that mine and just make a huge mess on the mine wall. And so this is like one of the so-called anthropogenic minerals, where minerals are forming because of human-induced processes. Yeah.
Why does this process work in this direction of you have a mineral specimen application in that direction, rather than thinking of an application that you need and manufacture a mineral for that?
It does go both ways. Yeah, it definitely goes both ways. It's a lot of times it's easier to see what you have first, like what kinds of crystals that you have first, and then find applications for that, because growing crystals for a particular application is a lot harder than you think. Because when you're doing it, they're mostly hydrothermal processes. So you have mixtures of chemicals, you seal it into a steel bomb, you put it in the oven, and you take it out and you see what you get. And you just hope you get what you want. And a lot of times it takes thousands of reactions to get to that point. Whereas nature has already formed a bunch of stuff for us. Let's take that as a clue to go and say, maybe this mineral will work for that particular, it didn't work exactly how we wanted to, but it was close. But then that's where we take the step forward, like how can we reverse engineer it and then make that crystal work for our particular application. So I do a lot of computational studies. I do a lot of density functional theory work where we try to calculate a crystal. So I feed elements to a molecular modeling program, and I give it conditions and I let it go until it forms something. And that actually has cut down my time like searching for minerals immensely. And so it does go both ways, but it's mostly mineral first for my particular work, mostly mineral first and then find applications. Yeah, good question. Yeah.
Did you say you were successful in synthesizing polyite?
No.
In the process?
I'm in the process. We need these high temperature hydrothermal vessels, big steel canisters. Only a few companies make them. And right now, getting steel is really difficult. And these companies are not producing as much of these hydrothermal vessels as we'd like. So I'm waiting in line to get my hydrothermal reactors. Yeah.
And
So,
you need more batteries.
yeah. Any other questions? Okay, Chris.
The critters in the salt. Are those like the OGs that were in there, or is that a sustainable population? And is the fact that they still create beta carotene telling you how many generations they have lived there?
We don't know the answer to that question. They go dormant pretty quick. So when they start off, they're these rod-shaped bacteria. And then when the concentration of the salt increases enough, they begin to pucker and they break apart into the cocci in that, just these little round things, and they're just floating around doing their own thing. We don't know if they're going through multiple generations or not. We don't think so. Based on the studies that we've done at Searles Lake, we've drilled down through Searles Lake and looked at different layers. And each layer has a unique population of bacteria. And so they're not like co-evolving. They're not evolving the same way. They're staying separate. So we think that they're like held in stasis. But they have huge amounts of RNA, and RNA is used to protect DNA. So we think that the amount of RNA preserves the DNA for long periods of time, so they don't Because if you had DNA like in ocean water, it would break down in a week. But this DNA sticks around for tens of thousands of years. Oh, question over here.
Has the DNA, RNA in the microbes in the fluid beings, has it been sequenced?
Yes.
And what technique?
It's using a nanopore technique. Yeah, I didn't do that work. My astrobiology friends did that. But they have like this special pipette that can concentrate just tiny amounts of fluid just to get enough bacteria to do it. And there's another group, I think in England, that we're working with that can do single cell sequencing, which is insane.
Do they use 16S?
Yes, yeah, they'll use 16S to do that, yeah. You had a question?
Yeah. First, what's a mineral for extracting lithium out of ocean water?
It's a spinel-based mineral. It's a manganese oxide, lithium manganese oxide.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that, when you do that, and you get the lithium out, do you get to keep that powder that you can reuse? Or?
Yeah. Yes, it's regenerative. We're working on stabilizing a bit. After of lithium absorption and desorption, some of the manganese comes out and depletes the ion exchange capacity of the material. But we found a way to substitute some of the magnesium for aluminum, just like the original spinel, which is kind of ironic, that it stabilizes the crystal structure and the amount of manganese doesn't deplete. So you can do hundreds and hundreds of cycles without having to regenerate or replace the lithium manganese oxide material.
So
Yeah.
like 95%.
Yes. Yeah. After 100 cycles. Yeah. So that's what the patent is for.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
The zeolite sprinkling on the lead soil, does that then, once it's absorbed, have to be removed or can it stay in place?
It stays in place. We did in the lab. Sorry, I'm stuttering. Did the experiments where put the zeolites under stomach acid conditions. So we put the lead zeolite, and then we put it in our synthetic stomach acid. Out. No lead came out. So I'm like, well, how do we get that out? The next question. And we pummeled it with hydrochloric acid. 13 molar hydrochloric acid, just fumes coming out of the bottle. It's really gross. And that's the only time where we can get the lead out. But we're dissolving the crystal at the same time. So if you're crystals, then you got bigger problems than lead.
She has a hazardous waste.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So you have your Specimen Pro app,
Yeah.
other apps that you've made that are geology related.
Made another app called Raman Lab, Raman spectrometer, because Raman spectrometers are like $150,000. I'm building one from scratch, and so I had code to be able, and also had to write the code to run the actual instrument. It's actually on the rough webpage if you know University of Arizona. Bob actually called me up. He was my former advisor at U of A, and he wanted me. And I have no time to do that. So at least the lab is getting out there. It's getting a lot of scientific attention, like getting a lot of press in the science. It's free, completely free to download.
Could it replace something like?
Yes, that was the idea. Crystal created this advanced version of Crystal Sleuth. 2 minerals in Raman. You a composite spectrum, and Sleuth can't handle that, but my software can. Yeah, spectra from a crystal structure. So if you don't know what something is, you might be calculate its crystal structure and compare it to your experimental data.
And case wire different for the same number from different localities.
It depends on the mineral, of course. Like for a study of vanadinite. Vanadinite is a hexagonal mineral. It should be optically uniaxial. But some vanadinite is biaxial, even though it's still hexagonal crystal structure. It's because of strain, and that stress and strain is imprinted in the bonds within the crystal. So when you shoot it with a Raman, the Raman's only seeing the bonds in the crystal. And so that's why you get these different spectra It could be caused by lots of different things, mineral inclusions of other elements or stress and strain on materials. I'd have to know specifically about that system in order to fully answer the question, but external forces can affect it.
What is this Raman laser?
Oh, Raman, yeah. So Raman laser is like just a regular laser, like a pointing laser. It's only 14 milliwatts. You shine it at the sample, and most of the laser will come back off, and you see that as a reflection of green light. But every 1 in 1 million photon transmits some of that photonic energy into the crystal, and the crystal absorbs it, the bonds absorb it, and the electrons get pushed to one side, and then they recoil. And when they recoil, they emit another photon of a different color. But it's so weak that you have to have a way of separating out that green light from the Raman light. And that's where the Raman spectrometer comes in, it can separate them out. That's why metals have no Raman signal, because when the photons come in, it hits the electrons. Because the metal is conductive, the electrons just diffuse outward and never recoil back. And so that it's limited, Raman is limited to things have slightly covalent bonding, like silicates. Another question, yeah. Feels like my prelims up here. It's like, damn.
The pores in your targeted mineral key, if you will, or how big are they? What can you put in there?
Into the raleite?
Can you put proteins in there?
No, you can't put protein. You can put vitamin A there. They're big enough to hold vitamin A, but other experiments like ship and bottle type reactions, like you can in those different cages, you could put vitamin A up here and then another smaller drug down here, and when they come out, they combine to form a drug as they exit the crystal. So you can do those kinds of reactions. Lots of clever things to do. Did I pass? Thank you.
I did tell you, fantastic presentation by Dr. Aaron Celestian from the Natural Museum of Los Angeles County. Terrific. This guy is such a rock star. He did mention his podcast a few times in the talk, and this is his podcast. It's available wherever you watch your podcasts, or listen to your podcast rather. Pocket Full of Crystals, Aaron Celestian. So that is available. Go find that, go watch that. He is an incredibly, as you can see, he's an incredibly engaging presenter, extremely knowledgeable, super nice guy also. That's going to be it for today's talks here at the Tucson Fine Mineral Gallery, but you are 100% going to want to come back tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel, tomorrow at 2 o'clock. We have part 2 of Alan Hart's conversation with Daniel Trinchillo regarding the life and times of Daniel Trinchillo. Part 2, we're going to talk about the Russian chapter, and if you like good storytelling, you are going to love this program. So the way this is going to work, we actually filmed this interview last night at the Fine Mineral International's house, and we have it all edited, and we have it here on the computers. So what we're going to do is Daniel and Alan are going to be in the conference room that you just saw, and Daniel's going to be in control of the computer that's going to play that edited video back. So you will be watching that. Occasionally, Danny may stop the video and may make some commentaries, but then after that video plays, Alan and Daniel are going to be there for any follow-up Q&As, any other comments, any questions. This is part 2 in our series. Part 1 is now online, so check out Blue Cat Productions' YouTube channel. You're going to want to watch that because part 2 makes some references to part 1. So that also is a very, very engaging program. But go ahead, watch that if you haven't seen it already. If you saw part 1, get ready for part 2. It's even more fun, even more adventures, and some great, great stories that Danny shares with us. And then we're going to have part 3 next year, and maybe part 4 and 5 and 6. And this may be an annual thing because this man's got a lot of crazy stories. So again, tune back in tomorrow. It is a sold out event, so there are no more spots for people showing up in person, but it will be broadcasted live on Blue Cat Productions YouTube channel, on our Facebook page, on our Instagram, also on the Facebook pages of Crystal Classics and the Tucson Fine Mineral Gallery. So that is going to be it for us today. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you learned a lot and you were entertained by today's presentation. I think we're going to see if we can get Aaron to come back and do future presentations because that presentation was just so much fun. So again, thank you. Have a great afternoon and heck, enjoy a little bit of music. Take care.
Suffocation said no holding back. You talk so crazy, crazy when you drink like that. And I know what you're thinking, what you're dreaming. What's the meaning of us? Dirty birdie, you were right for me. I wanna take you out, get you under me. Circulation, how you move like that. I think I'll keep you waiting if you text me back. 'Cause I know what you're thinking, what you're dreaming. What's the meaning of us? Dirty birdie, you were right for me. I wanna take you out, get you under me. Dirty birdie, you were right for me. I wanna take you out, get you under me. Dirty birdie, you were right for me. I wanna take you out, get you under me. Gotta breathe in, I gotta breathe out. I'm losing my cool, I'm on the edge. Something's taking over me, I'ma be down on my knees. You know I'm ready for this, you keep me begging for this. I'm chasing the feeling, I know it too well. And I just can't resist, yeah, I just can't resist. Do what I do, I ain't got nothing to prove. So baby, roll with this, yeah, baby, roll with this. I could do this all day. This all day. Back up, I'ma run this town. I'm headed to the top and you know it's going down. I could do this all day. I could do this all day. Take your best shot, show me what you got, no you can't resist. You know I'm ready for this, I just do what I do. I ain't got nothing to prove, so just roll with this. Yeah baby, roll with this. I can do this all day. I can do this all day. Back up on the run. taking over. Ain't never gonna stop me. Taking over. Ain't never gonna stop. I'm taking over. Ain't never gonna stop me.